Imagine opening your refrigerator door and coming across something seemingly harmless, something that has been part of your meals since your youth. A food that, for decades, has been sold as a source of strength, calcium, and energy. But what if I told you that, after age 60, some types of cheese may be undermining your vitality, accelerating muscle loss, and pushing your body into a state of silent frailty? After that age, muscles are not just about aesthetics or brute strength. They function as a true reserve of life. They support your bones, stabilize your joints, protect your internal organs, and even help control blood sugar. When muscles begin to collapse, the entire body declines, falls become more frequent, independence begins to slip through your fingers, and the simple act of climbing a step can become a giant challenge. And here's the crucial point: many older adults are accelerating this process without realizing it, simply by keeping 3 types of cheese in their daily routine that seem harmless but hide metabolic traps. Bad fats, excess salt, and inflammatory compounds work together to weaken muscle tissue, impair circulation, and steal energy. What seems like pleasure and tradition at the table may actually be stealing your strength. This is the great paradox. The same food that seemed to be your ally in your youth can become a silent enemy in your maturity. And the good news is that by knowing these villains and learning how to replace them, you can protect your muscles, increase your vitality, and gain more years of independence. If this revelation has already surprised you, imagine what's yet to come. This warning can transform not only your life, but also the lives of those you love. So, like this post right now so that more people can discover the secret hidden in their everyday meals. Few people realize it, but muscles are much more than just tissue that moves the body. They function as a true organ of survival. After the age of 60, they become an invisible armor that determines whether you will have vitality or fragility. Every steady step, every gesture of independence, every peaceful night's sleep is closely linked to muscle health. When you strengthen your muscles, you are strengthening your entire body. They help maintain upright posture, protect the spine, reduce joint pain, and are the main reservoir of glucose in the body, acting as a natural barrier against diabetes. In addition, active muscles send signals to the brain, keeping memory sharper and protecting against cognitive decline. It's as if they were messengers of vitality, communicating to the body that it still has the energy to live fully. On the other hand, when muscles begin to deteriorate, a condition called sarcopenia, the ripple effect is devastating. Metabolism slows down, physical endurance drops, visceral fat increases, and the risk of falls and fractures multiplies. Every gram of muscle lost is also a part of your autonomy being eroded. And here's the most alarming detail: often, this muscle loss has nothing to do with lack of exercise, but rather with something much more subtle: daily food choices. Small mistakes that seem unimportant can, little by little, weaken the body from the inside out. That's why protecting your muscles isn't just a matter of aesthetics or vanity. It's a matter of freedom. It determines whether you'll be able to get out of bed on your own at 70, play with your grandchildren at 75, or travel with energy at 80. But there is a silent danger that, disguised as traditional food, steals that strength without you noticing. And it is precisely this trap that millions of people over 60 fall into every day, believing they are nourishing themselves, when in fact they are accelerating muscle decline. For years, we have been taught that cheese is a symbol of nutrition. Rich in calcium, a source of protein, part of traditional diets in regions famous for longevity. No wonder many believe that an extra slice at mealtime will never hurt. But the reality is that not all cheese is the same, and some can become real traps for those over 60. The danger lies precisely in the disguise. Many cheeses have a reputation for being healthy, but they hide excess saturated fat, alarming levels of sodium, and inflammatory substances that gradually weaken muscles. While they offer a little calcium, they take away the basis of vitality, the body's ability to maintain strength and regeneration. Think for a moment, how many times have you heard cheese being recommended as part of a balanced diet? Now imagine that, inside that same refrigerator, there is a type of cheese that, instead of nourishing you, acts like a silent chain pulling your muscles down. It does not cause immediate pain or drastic symptoms at first. The effect is subtle: less energy when waking up, fatigue when walking, a feeling of weakness when performing simple tasks. This is when sarcopenia, the progressive loss of muscle mass, finds fertile ground. And once the problem sets in, reversing it is much more difficult. But the good news is that identifying the villains and replacing them with safe options can be the first step in preserving your autonomy for decades. The big challenge is that these cheeses are present in everyday moments: in a quick breakfast, in an afternoon snack, on a cold cuts platter at family gatherings. They are there, disguised as pleasure and tradition, but acting against your body. And the first of these, incredibly popular, may be right on your table tomorrow morning, next to the bread and coffee. It has a vibrant color, striking flavor, and irresistible appeal, but it holds within it the silent trigger for muscle loss. Among the cheeses that most often appear on the table every day, there is one that has become almost ubiquitous. It colors sandwiches, melts on hamburgers, appears on quick pizzas, and is sold in perfect slices, individually packaged to make life easier. We are talking about ultra-processed yellow cheeses, such as industrialized cheddar and similar varieties. At first glance, they seem harmless, striking flavor, creamy texture, immediate pleasure. But the reality hidden in these slices is alarming. They carry a dangerous combination of excess saturated fat, high levels of sodium, and chemical additives that turn the body into an inflammatory environment. And it is precisely this silent inflammation that paves the way for accelerated muscle loss. Excess saturated fat hinders the work of muscle cells, reducing their ability to capture glucose, an essential fuel for generating energy. Excess sodium, in turn, overloads the kidneys and arteries, reducing the oxygenation that muscles need to stay active. And additives, such as dyes and preservatives, act as triggers for chronic inflammation, undermining the muscle recovery process after each effort. The result? The body loses more lean mass than it can rebuild. This means weaker muscles, slower metabolism, and a higher risk of falls, fractures, and age-related diseases. And all this often happens while the person believes they are just enjoying a tasty childhood treat. It is important to understand, we are not talking about occasional consumption at a party or special celebration. The danger lies in repeated consumption, in the daily slice that accumulates and, over time, takes a heavy toll. What seemed like just a detail on the plate can be the trigger for a fragility that limits your independence.
But industrialized cheddar is not the only villain. There is another cheese considered noble and even associated with cultural traditions, which can be even more treacherous when consumed in excess. It does not have the artificial look of processed slices, but it has a corrosive power on muscles and blood vessels. If the first villain hides in everyday life, the second cheese presents itself in a more elegant way. It appears grated on pasta, sliced on cold cuts boards, served at dinners and celebrations as a symbol of sophistication. We are talking about cured and aged cheeses, such as excessive Parmesan. It is undeniable, their intense flavor and firm texture conquer palates around the world. Many even believe that, because they are concentrated, they offer more nutrients. And in fact, they contain protein and calcium. But here's the catch. Along with these nutrients comes an extremely high load of sodium and substances released in the curing process that, in excess, can become silent enemies of the body. Excess sodium has a devastating effect on those over 60. Not only does it increase blood pressure, but it also causes continuous wear and tear on blood vessels. This overload reduces the flow of oxygen and nutrients that should reach the muscles. The result is increasingly fragile muscle tissue, unable to regenerate properly after minor everyday injuries. In addition, studies show that frequent consumption of aged cheeses is associated with an increased risk of systemic inflammation. This means that, instead of being just a food, it acts as a constant trigger for inflammatory processes that gradually erode vitality. And there is another detail that few people mention. These cheeses are usually consumed in larger portions than one might imagine. A sliver at lunch, a handful grated at dinner, a slice at snack time. At the end of the day, excess sodium and saturated fat accumulate and compromise not only muscles, but also the heart and kidneys. Parmesan is, therefore, a clear example of how something considered fine can actually work against the mature body. It does not have the artificial appearance of processed cheese, but it poses an even greater danger: excessive consumption, disguised as tradition and intense flavor. But there is a third cheese, perhaps the most treacherous of all. It does not have a vibrant color or a striking flavor like Parmesan. On the contrary, it seems light, mild, even harmless. That is precisely why so many consume it without concern, believing they are making a healthier choice. After ultra-processed and aged cheese, we come to the third villain. It does not have the strong color of cheddar or the intensity of Parmesan. On the contrary, its smooth appearance and creamy texture give it a light feel. It is present in breakfast, quick snacks, and even homemade recipes. We are talking about cream cheese and industrialized cream cheeses. This is perhaps the most treacherous of all because it disguises itself as a light or modern option. Many packages highlight words like mild, fresh, or light. But just look at the nutrition facts to discover the trap: high saturated fat content, excess sodium, and a long list of chemical additives that the body does not recognize as food. The effect of frequent consumption on the body is devastating. These creamy cheeses fuel a state of chronic inflammation that affects the metabolism as a whole. They unbalance the intestinal microbiota, weakening one of the body's most important lines of defense, and reduce the ability of muscle cells to absorb nutrients efficiently. As a result, the body begins to expend more energy to repair tissues and, little by little, loses lean mass. The result is silent but profound. Muscles that should function as engines begin to wear out faster. The feeling of weakness increases, and simple activities, such as carrying bags or climbing stairs, become increasingly tiring. The impact is not immediate, which is precisely why the danger is greater. It accumulates day after day, until the signs of sarcopenia become evident. Another detail that many people ignore is indirect consumption. These creamy cheeses are found in ready-made sandwiches, party snacks, and even in sweet preparations. In other words, even without buying the jar directly, it is common to be ingesting significant portions without realizing it. Now you know the 3 cheeses that, after the age of 60, can accelerate muscle breakdown: ultra-processed, over-cured, and industrialized cream cheese. But perhaps the question on your mind right now is, what exactly do these cheeses do inside the body to cause so much damage? Now that you know the 3 villains, it's time to understand what they do inside the body. Think of your body as a delicate machine, where muscles, bones, blood vessels, and hormones work in harmony. When certain cheeses become excessive in your diet, this machine begins to rust. Large amounts of saturated fat make muscle cells resistant to insulin. This means that glucose, which should enter the cells to be converted into energy, remains circulating in the blood. The result is a lack of fuel for the muscles, which begin to weaken. At the same time, the risk of diabetes increases, and we know that this condition further accelerates the loss of lean mass. Excess sodium acts as an invisible saboteur. It retains fluids, overloads the kidneys, and increases blood pressure. But it doesn't stop there. Hardened and narrowed blood vessels cannot deliver enough oxygen and nutrients to the muscles. Imagine trying to fill up a car through a clogged hose. The engine will inevitably fail. This is exactly what happens to the body. The chemical additives and preservatives in these cheeses act as small triggers of inflammation. The body is in constant alert, as if it were always fighting a threat. But this fight consumes energy and prevents the natural regeneration of muscles after simple efforts, such as walking or climbing stairs. Over time, what was once just mild wear and tear turns into chronic weakness. This process is not immediate. It starts slowly with subtle signs: less energy in the morning, leg pain at the end of the day, difficulty maintaining the same pace as before. Then it progresses to frequent falls, loss of balance, and a growing dependence on others. That's precisely why understanding and acting now makes all the difference. Your food choices can determine whether your muscles will be sources of energy or points of weakness. And I want to know from you, which of these cheeses is most present in your routine today? Write in the comments. Your experience can help others realize where the problem comes from. But don't worry, if there are foods that destroy, there are also smart substitutes that can strengthen and rebuild your muscle mass without sacrificing flavor. Now that you know which cheeses can rob you of your strength, it's time to discover that there are safe, tasty, and powerful options for maintaining vitality even after 60. The secret is not to cut all types of cheese out of your life, but to know how to choose wisely. Fresh white cheeses, such as natural ricotta, cottage cheese, and Minas fresco cheese, are much lighter alternatives. They contain significantly lower amounts of saturated fat and sodium, as well as being sources of easily absorbed protein.
Unlike processed cheeses, these cheeses aid muscle recovery, helping to repair tissue after simple everyday activities. Another interesting option is artisan goat and sheep cheeses, which are generally easier to digest and less inflammatory than those produced on an industrial scale. In addition, many of them offer a variety of nutrients that promote intestinal health, a key point for those who want to maintain strong muscles, since a healthy intestine improves the absorption of proteins and minerals. But the substitution doesn't have to stop there. Many dishes that normally contain dangerous cheeses can be adapted with natural seasonings, aromatic herbs, and even protein-rich vegetable spreads, such as hummus. The combination of chickpeas, tahini, and olive oil, for example, offers a creamy texture, distinctive flavor, and even protects against inflammation. The key point is to remember that every meal can be an opportunity to strengthen the body, not weaken it. When you swap an ultra-processed slice for a fresh option, you are giving your body nutrients that stimulate muscle building instead of accelerating loss. And the good news is that small changes accumulated over time lead to big transformations. A breakfast with cottage cheese instead of yellow cheese, a lunch with fresh seasoned ricotta instead of excessive parmesan, a snack with hummus instead of cream cheese. These simple details powerfully change the trajectory of your health. And there's more. In addition to replacing the villains, you can add foods that act as true muscle protectors. They not only prevent loss, but also stimulate the growth and repair of lean mass, even in old age. If some cheeses steal your energy, the good news is that there are foods that can do exactly the opposite: protect, rebuild, and strengthen your muscles even after 60. These superfoods are true allies of vitality and can easily be part of your routine. Among the most powerful are fish rich in omega-3, such as salmon, sardines, and mackerel. In addition to providing high-quality protein, they reduce inflammatory processes and improve insulin sensitivity, helping muscle cells receive energy efficiently. A plate of baked fish, for example, can act as fuel to keep muscles active. Legumes, such as beans, lentils, and chickpeas, are another essential source. Rich in fiber and vegetable protein, they promote blood sugar balance and stimulate muscle recovery. When combined with whole grains, such as brown rice or quinoa, they offer a complete profile of amino acids, the building blocks of muscles. We can't forget about eggs, a simple, affordable, and extremely nutritious food. The white is a source of pure protein, while the yolk contains vitamins and minerals essential for muscle metabolism. Incorporating eggs in a balanced way into your diet means providing your body with everything it needs to repair tissue on a daily basis. Another group worth mentioning is seeds and nuts, such as chia, flaxseed, walnuts, and almonds. Small in size but huge in impact, these sources of good fats and antioxidants combat cellular aging and support the muscular and nervous systems. And, of course, collagen from natural sources, found in bone broth, lean meats, and even good quality supplements. Collagen is essential for maintaining not only firm skin, but also for preserving joints and tendons, structures that are fundamental for muscles to work without overload. When these foods are consistently included in your diet, they act like bricks that strengthen the house that is your body. Each meal becomes an active protection, an investment in the future. And here's a very important point: if you know someone over 60 who needs this information to protect their muscles, share this video now. This gesture could be the beginning of a life-changing journey for that person. But it's not just what you eat that defines your strength. There are other everyday factors that enhance or compromise all that dietary effort. Eating smart is essential, but it's not the only pillar of vitality after 60. The human body is like an orchestra. Each instrument needs to be tuned for the music to sound perfect. If food provides the score, lifestyle is how you conduct that symphony. One of the most underestimated elements is restorative sleep. During the night, especially in the deep stages of sleep, the body releases hormones such as GH, growth hormone, which are essential for repairing tissue and stimulating muscle protein synthesis. Poor sleep interrupts this process, leaving muscles increasingly vulnerable to loss. Another factor is hydration. Water not only transports nutrients, but also participates directly in the chemical reactions that maintain muscle contraction. A dehydrated body is like a machine without oil. It jams, wears out, and loses efficiency. Older adults often feel less thirsty, but that does not mean the body needs less water. On the contrary, maintaining constant hydration is vital for muscle and cardiovascular health. And of course, we cannot forget about physical activity. You don't have to lift heavy weights at the gym. Simple exercises such as walking, dancing, gardening, or even climbing stairs already stimulate the muscles. But there is one type of exercise that deserves special attention: resistance training, even if it is light. Using your own body weight or simple elastic bands can be enough to send the message to the brain: these muscles are still needed. And, in response to this message, the body responds by preserving and even increasing lean mass. In addition, relaxation practices such as meditation, deep breathing, or contact with nature help reduce levels of cortisol, the stress hormone. Excess cortisol accelerates muscle breakdown and compromises immunity. Controlling it is as important as eating good proteins. In short, strong muscles are not only built at the table, but also in the bedroom, backyard, living room, and even the garden. Each daily habit works as a piece of this puzzle. But here comes a practical question: how to apply all this in real life? How to transform science into simple and sustainable choices that anyone in their 60s, 70s, or 80s can maintain? So far, you have understood which foods weaken, which strengthen, and how lifestyle can boost your muscles. But you may be wondering, how does all this translate into real life? Do small choices really make a difference after 60? The answer is clear: yes. Imagine the routine of Mrs. Helena, 68. For years, her breakfast was always the same: 2 slices of bread with yellow cheese and black coffee. Throughout the day, she felt tired, had pain in her legs, and had difficulty climbing stairs. When she went to the doctor, she discovered signs of sarcopenia and high blood pressure. Alarmed, she decided to make a change. She replaced ultra-processed cheese with fresh cottage cheese, included fruits rich in antioxidants, and started walking 20 minutes a day. 3 months later, she noticed something incredible: more energy, less pain, and even an improvement in her posture. Or consider the case of Mr. Antonio, 72. He always liked aged cheeses, especially at family meals. But overeating had consequences: high blood pressure, swelling, and loss of strength. Encouraged by his children, he started using ricotta seasoned with herbs instead of Parmesan and began doing light exercises with resistance bands at home. In a short time, he not only regained his energy, but also felt more confident and independent in performing simple everyday activities. These examples show that science is not something distant, restricted to laboratories or academic studies. It is present in every choice we make in the kitchen, at the supermarket, or in the way we take care of our bodies. It is a living science that can transform the life of anyone willing to make gradual changes. And the most inspiring thing is to realize that it is never too late. The body has an incredible capacity for regeneration, even at an advanced age. Every meal is a chance to build stronger muscles. Every good night's sleep is a gift for vitality. Every walk is a message to the body: we still need strength, we still have a lot to live for. When theory meets practice, true transformation is born. It's not about restrictions, but about freedom. Freedom to live without pain, to climb stairs without fear of falling, to play with grandchildren without losing your breath, to travel without limitations. And when you combine nutrition, lifestyle, and conscious choices, something extraordinary happens. The body responds with vitality, as if to say that there are still many chapters to be written in your story. But this story needs a strong conclusion, a clear decision, and motivation that goes beyond the moment. We have reached a crucial point. Throughout this video, you have discovered that 3 common cheeses: ultra-processed, over-cured, and industrialized cream cheese, can accelerate muscle loss and rob you of your independence after 60. You have also seen that your muscles are not just for aesthetics, but are the foundation of your vitality, the energy reserve that keeps every step steady, every gesture of autonomy, every dream still possible. The good news is that the decision is in your hands. Every food choice can be a silent poison or a powerful medicine. When you replace harmful cheeses with fresh, light versions, when you include protective superfoods, when you take care of your sleep, hydration, and body movement, you are investing not only in health but in freedom. Think for a moment: how many things do you still want to do? How many trips, how many family gatherings, how many moments of simple joy do you still dream of experiencing? All of this depends on the strength of your muscles. Protecting that strength is protecting your history, ensuring that you continue to be the protagonist of your own life. It's not about living forever, but about living better, with energy, vitality, and dignity. What we've seen here is not a distant theory, it's a real and accessible path for everyone. All it takes is one conscious step at a time. If this content made sense to you, subscribe to the channel right now. That way, you'll continue to receive practical, science-based guidance to strengthen your body and mind after 60. Also, leave your like and share this video with those you love, because together we can create a community of healthier and more independent people. And remember, aging is inevitable, but weakening doesn't have to be. The future of your muscles starts on your plate today. Make the choice that will guarantee your freedom tomorrow.